Hello, Titans. Today is section 2.6 of your textbook, and it just so happens that that's on page 26 of your note-taking guide. Okay, so the essential question that you need to write at the top of page 26 is how are different functions added, subtracted, multiplied, and divided together? You have homework tonight. It's out of the textbook, page 135. Please only do the evens, number 8 through 24. So 8, 10, 12, 20, 12, 14, 16, etc. And at the end of this lesson, you should be able to say that you can add, subtract, multiply, and divide two different functions together. Okay, so take a minute to hit pause if you need to write down that essential question on the top of page 26 of your notes. Okay, if you need to review this skill, you can see page 19 of your note-taking guide. If you need to review this, I'm going to go over it real quick. So when some direction says find f of -5, it just means to plug it in for the variable, in this case, x, right? So if we want to find f of -5, since x we're saying is -5, that just means we put that right there and do the math. That's all. So this would be 3 times -5 plus 25. That's -15 plus 25. So the final answer would be the function at -5 is equal to 25 minus 15, which is 10. That's the final answer. So just remember that we're just plugging things in, okay? That's going to come up in a few minutes. Okay, what we're going to do today is the sum, difference, product, or quotient, add, subtract, multiply, or divide. That's the words that go with those, right? Sum means to add, difference is to subtract, product is multiply, and quotient is to divide. But we're going to do that with two different functions. So we're going to work with functions today, not so much numbers. Okay, so here is math symbols, and I'm going to just explain to you what it means. Now, a function we use f of x a lot, but you can use any letter like g or h. Those are the most common. So this just says to take two functions, the f, and add it to the g function. This just means take f of x and add it to, because this is a plus sign, g of x. The one below it says take the f function, f of x, and multiply it by g of x. The one over here says take the f of x function, and this bar stands for dividing, divided by g of x. Now this one I left separate because there's an extra step. So this is the f of x function minus, and you have to put parentheses, the g of x function. So you must add on the subtract problems this extra set of parentheses after a minus. So you always have to add in, parentheses. So minus and then parentheses. Always add parentheses. You only do that in the back part. You leave the f of x alone. You can hit pause if you need a minute. Okay, so here's an example. We're given two functions, f of x and g of x, and in this example it says to add them. So f of x plus g of x, but specifically it says at 4. So what's f of 4 plus g of 4? That's all it's asking you. So let's do this one first. So what is the f function? The f function is right here. So it's x squared minus 4 And we're just going to take this 4 and we're going to plug it in. So 4 squared minus 4 be 16 minus 4, because remember 4 squared means 4 times 4. This is not an 8. Don't write 8. That's a common mistake. So 4 times 4 is 16, and then bring down the back minus 4. So that would just be 12. And we're going to add that, because that's what it says in the problem over here. Add to that whatever the g of 4 function is. So now we have to do the g function. So what is the g function? It's x plus 2, and we're supposed to plug in a negative 4. I'm sorry, positive 4. So you plug in 4, bring down 2, that would be 6. So all we're asking you to do is add 12 plus 6. All right. So the f plus g at 4 is equal to 12 plus 6, which is 18. So there's your final answer. It's like doing 2 math problems at once. So this is your final answer. So f of 4, figure it out, it came out to be 12. G of 4, figure it out, it came to be 6. 12 plus 6 is a total of 18. You can hit pause if you need a minute. Okay, the next one says to subtract it. And it also says to do 2 different things. When you're done with that, you're also going to evaluate it at -1. Okay? So we're going to do two different things here. So let's do f minus g function first. So f of x minus parentheses, because that's the important part. Remember I told you at the beginning of the notes, anytime you have minus, you have to put parentheses, minus the g of x function. So how much is the f of x function? It's right here. So it's going to be x squared minus 4. Minus something else. Something else is going to be the g of x function, which is right here. So why is it that we put parentheses there? It's because there's a hidden -1 right there. That accounts for when your middle school teachers would tell you to add the opposite. So this is accounting for adding the opposite. And in upper level math, we just go ahead and know that we distribute a -1 to add the opposite. So the front doesn't change. Negative times x would be a -1x. And then -1 times a 2 is a -2. So this step is to add parentheses for subtract. You have to remember to do that. The next step is going to be, can you shorten this up anymore? So you're going to combine like terms if you can. And the only like terms would be this -4 with this -2. Those are the only ones that are alike. You can't not put x squared together with an x. So we're just going to write those down. And then -4 minus 2 is -6. Okay, I'm just going to write this notation right up here at the top. We just figured out f minus g of x, it's equal to what we got here in blue, x squared minus 1x minus 6. So that's our first part of the problem. It says and, so now I need and now we need to do that function, f minus g. I'm just rewriting myself here, so I don't have any room down at the bottom. So I'm rewriting it. Now we need to do that at -1. We're going to do this part now. Give you a minute to get caught up. So this was step 1. This is going to be step 2. So we're just going to plug in a -1 wherever we see the x, and that's going to be twice. When you do plug in a negative number, please make sure you always use parentheses because it does matter. And then this should be some pretty quick math here. So -1 times -1 would be a +1. -1 times another -1 is another +1. Bring down -6. So our answer, f minus g, at -1 is equal to 1 plus 1 is 2 minus 6 is -4. So here's our second answer. So this problem asked you for 2 things. Some of you are like, well, why am I doing 2 different things? Well, because it's 2 problems there. It's telling you to find 2 different things. All right, so it says first find this just with x's, then use that to evaluate it at -1. So this is 2 problems built into one, and I did that just to kind of reinforce the subtract issue. Your homework will separate those. Okay. You can hit pause if you need a minute. Okay, so this is the same thing. We're going to find 2 things. So let's find this first. The f function divided by the g function. That's what this bar stands for, divided, right? So you just put the f function on the top, x squared minus 4. Put the g function on the bottom, x plus 2. And that's it. Just have to know how to read it. That's the final answer for the first part. And so now we have to find f of -3 divided by, so for this part, second step, g of -3. So there's 2 problems here. So this is step 1. This is step 2. Because we have an and problem. There's 2 things that you have to do. Okay? All right, well, the function is just x squared minus 4, x plus 2. I got that from right here. So I'm just going to plop in a -3 right there, plop in a -3, and just do the math. Oops. So -3, plug it in for the x, square it, minus 4, and on the bottom, says again to plug in -3, and then add 2, and then we're just going to do the math. I think I'll go downwards this way. So it is -3 squared right here. That's 9. -3 times -3 is 9. Bring down -4. We still have -3 plus 2 on the bottom, right? So what is 9 minus 4? 5. -3 plus 2, -1. Can that reduce? It's -5, right? Positive divided by a negative. Okay, so f of -3 divided by the g of -3. That final answer is that -5 in the back. You can hit pause if you need a minute. Okay, this one is just a 1 step. It just says take f of 4. This dot stands for multiply by g of 4. Now, the reason why this is only 1 step is because if we try to just do it with the letters like we did in the other problems, we don't have those math skills yet. We haven't reviewed those math skills or taught them. So this is just a 1-step problem. This is what your homework is more like, this kind of problem, okay? So f times g of 4. So I'm just going to separate those. I'm going to do this one first. So we're going to take the f function, x squared minus 4. We've been working with the same functions, right? And we're just going to take that and we're going to plug it in. So that would be 4 squared minus 4. That's 4 squared is 4 times 4 is 16. Don't write an 8 there. 4 times 4 is 16 minus 4. 16 minus 4 is 12. And I'm just working downwards. And then we're going to multiply that by the g of 4 function, right? I don't want that color. So I'm going to take the g function, x plus 2, and I'm going to plug in a 4 for that. So that would be 4 plus 2, that's 6. And here comes my final answer. What is f times g at 4? Well, what is 12 times 6? That's 72. So there's our final answer of 72. So just take each function, plug in a 4. Right, so we just plugged in a 4 right here, plugged in a 4 right there. And whatever we got, we multiplied together, right? Because we had to multiply them. Okay, next one. Okay, so for example 2, I'm just trying to show you that you'll get 2 different answers. We use the same functions on both example A and example B. But if you notice on A, we're doing f minus g. And if I advance this for a second, this one, for example B, is g minus f. And I'm just trying to show you here that you do get 2 different answers. Okay, so that just means take the f of x function minus parentheses. Remember how I told you that every time I do a subtract, minus the g of x function. So this function goes here, this function goes there, and there's a minus parentheses in between them. So first function is negative 2x plus 3. I get that from right here because that's the f function. Minus parentheses, you do that every time that there's a subtract. You have to remember to go minus parentheses in the back, right? You write something here, minus parentheses. Okay, and then the g function is x squared minus 5. How come we do that? Because there's a hidden 1 right here, so you're going to distribute the negative 1. That's the equivalent of your middle school teachers telling you to add the opposite. So nothing gets changed in the front. Negative times that would be negative 1x squared. Negative times negative 5 is positive 5. At the end, you're going to collect like terms. Order will matter at college. So f minus g of x, that's what we started with, that's what we're finding, right, is equal to, so now let's look at our work. Always start with the highest exponent, so this would be first, negative 1x squared. Then write anything down that has an x, negative 2x. So order matters, and it goes by the little exponents. And then this is collect like terms. What's 3 plus 5? Right, that's the collect like terms. Right, so that would be 8. And here's our final answer. Now when we do the next one, it will be different. We did f minus g. On the next slide, it's g minus f, and we will not get the same answer. And we're just practicing more of these rules about adding parentheses, right? So remember to add parentheses on subtract. Okay, let's do the next one. So g minus f of x. So g of x minus parentheses. Then inside there, we'll put the f of x. So how much is the g of x? It's right here. So x squared minus 5 minus, whoops, sorry, parentheses, and now I'll put in the f of x, which is right here. Negative 2x plus 3. Remember to fill in the hidden 1. And you're going to distribute the hidden 1. And this is add minus parentheses on subtracts. Okay. So hopefully you're distributing while I'm putting some extra notes here in case you need them. So distribute, distribute, bring this down. Negative 1 times negative 2 is positive 2x. Negative times positive 3 is negative 3. So here comes our final answer. G minus f of x. Don't forget, combine like terms if you can. Start with the x squared, so just plain x squared. If you want to fill in a hidden 1, I don't mind. Your college professors won't like you to do that, but there is a hidden 1 there if you want to put it there. So x squared, then the plain x, 2x, right? So x squared, x, and then plain number. So how much is negative 5 minus 3 is negative 8. And if you take a look at this example compared to letter A, the one we did right before that, you'll notice how it's different. You can hit pause if you need to. Okay, here's your homework for tonight. So this is your homework. So I forgot to put the little page on here. So this is page 135 in your textbook. And you're going to do number 8 through number 24, evens only. Okay. So these ones are a little bit easier, okay? Made them a little bit easier for you guys. Have a great day.